What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have yet more Destiny 2 Heresy news. And so in this one we're going to talk about the power increase for the upcoming episode. On top of that, a new loot system called the Tome of Want, which Bungie have just outlined, that's going to help us pick up Heresy rewards. Additionally, we get a better look at some of the Dreadnaught zones, a new enemy coming in Heresy. That includes a look at the Court of Oryx, and some insights about the Dreadnaught, story components for Heresy, as well as a base roadmap breakdown for the upcoming content. So a few things to round up today guys. If you enjoyed the video, get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more content. Otherwise though, let's get into it. So here to round up a few bits related to episode Heresy, we've now got a 4K version of the key art for the episode. It shows the Dreadnaught with the tentacles around it, as well as the chains, and spooky Oryx in the back. On top of that though, the subjugator that we can see up there appears to be a Taken subjugator, which is interesting. It's obvious that the Taken and the Dread are going to play into the episode quite a bit. And here from the PlayStation blog, we get another image of the Dreadnaught at the Court of Oryx this time, and we can see that Taken subjugator in the game as a boss. So it'll be really interesting to see what this enemy is all about. We'll talk about a few details that come from that PlayStation blog in just a moment, but if you're wondering whether Heresy will have a power increase, I've been seeing that question a lot, and Bungie haven't revisited it in the recent weeks, but Bungie had previously said, with Revenant, and once again in the next episode, we will be increasing power caps by 10 to return that pursuit to endgame players. So there will indeed be another power increase for Heresy. And additionally relating to the new content, Bungie have revealed a new loot system, essentially, for the upcoming episode. Interestingly, they posted this on X shortly after the last TWID. I'm not sure why it didn't make it into the TWID itself, but Bungie introduced the Tome of Want. So they say players will be tasked with infiltrating the Dreadnaught once more, and along the way you'll be earning some sweet loot, which is helped by the Tome of Want. And we can see it right here. It's essentially the attunement system for weapons in this episode. So on day one, you'll unlock the Tome of Want, giving you options to focus on earning specific weapons, armor, or currencies in addition to general loot drops that you'll earn during gameplay. And as we complete Heresy activities, we'll earn Essence of Desire to power up the Tome's rituals and scriptures, which will specify the desired rewards. So it will essentially unlock new capabilities over the course of time. And they say to keep us better informed of ritual progress, the Tome's tooltip will display a progress bar indicating when you'll earn your next specified reward. And this lives entirely within your inventory, with progress being gained by defeating powerful enemies and completing activities. We'll get more progress from Heresy activities, of course, but minor gains can be earned from various activities throughout the game. And as we get deeper into Heresy, we'll be able to upgrade the Tome to be more efficient, increasing the number of rewards that can be earned through a single ritual. And finally, Tome Engravings will be unlocked over time and augment a number of artifact perks with additional effects, and these effects will activate anytime a ritual is active within the Tome. And so looking at it on screen, Tome Engravings will essentially be the perks, and based on what Bungie had said, those will be largely sandbox related things. Then the ritual rites, and it looks like that section of the Tome will basically expand over time, until we can get very efficient attunement chances, focusing for specific drops. So that's basically the loot system. It does appear to be a bit less convoluted than Tonics perhaps, although only time will tell. But we do know there'll be other elements at play, like Bungie had said that we'll have a seasonal challenge every week, which will reward the Adept tier of Heresy weapons, and there'll be a different one featured every week that rolls around. So as always, there'll be plenty of different ways that loot can be buffed and adjusted, but that will essentially be the system which is in place for Heresy. So give us any thoughts or first impressions you have about it down below, and I'll keep you guys posted on important info with that at the release next week. Moving on though, in terms of the timeline of some of the content that we're going to get in Heresy, Act 1 of course starts on February 4th, and Bungie have said the vast majority of activity content available will drop on the first day of an act and then evolve based on the weekly story, and that each week we'll get a seasonal challenge that rewards a new tier of the weapons. And so it sounds like that could relate to the Adept weapons for Heresy, but otherwise the length of the acts for this episode are going to be a little bit different to what we've seen previously. And the example that Bungie gave is that Act 2 will only last for 3 weeks instead of the standard 5 or 6. On top of that, by the time that Act 2 launches, all of the reprised and new weapons for the episode will have been released, at least the legendary things. Otherwise, on the timeline, February 7th is when we'll get the new dungeon, Sundered Doctrine, where there'll be 48 hours to complete contest mode, but after the first team clears it this time around, according to the dev stream, the normal version will become available, so we'll get the best of both worlds this time around. And on the PvE side, I'm sure we'll get a better idea of the act length and specific dates next week, but otherwise for events, Bungie have outlined that Iron Banner will be available between February 18th and 25th, then again on April 1st to the 8th, and from April April 29th to May 6th, so going back to 1 week Iron Banner runs, and of course that means that trials will be available on every other weekend, with the exception of February 7th when the dungeon drops, so trials will kick off for the first time in the episode at the end of week 2. Here though, a few insights from the PlayStation blog with words from Bungie devs about the episode itself. And the dev said there's a constant surge of taken forces and corruptive power spilling from the Dreadnaught in Heresy, and the outpouring of corruption is like a current that pushes back against Guardian forces attempting to board the Dreadnaught, and this is where the Nether comes in. And what's significant about the Dreadnaught's return for Heresy is that it's going to be changing, and we'll be fighting through it in ways we've yet to experience. The Dreadnaught has reawakened for the first time in almost a decade, spurring the Vanguard and Guardians across the system to take notice. And we finally get to see what has become of the Dreadnaught years after Oryx was felled, and its halls were left to corrode without a navigator. And of course, we pretty much wiped them all out back in Destiny 1. It seems as well this could be where that taken subjugator might actually come into play, and it seems quite possible that they're the ones trying to take over the Dreadnaught. So it will be interesting to see if Bungie can pull this story off, but otherwise that blog speaks about the combination of area patrols, multiple bubbles, and the Nether activity culminating in heroic boss fights, and the 3 types of boons that'll be available for players to collect, offering boosts to stats, gameplay altering benefits, damage increases, and more. And we've also spotted interesting items in some of the Dreadnaught gameplay, like the taken Osseous Fragment, some kind of redeemable currency, and it could be a key of some kind, or something which increases rewards as we've seen with other destination redeemables. May even be linked to things like an exotic quest weapon, and we know the quest weapon will be the Barrow Dyad, the exotic SMG, which the devs described as a fossilized precursor to a weapon of sorrow, a craftable exotic that'll feature intrinsic upgrades and catalysts, but also they said a lot of other surprises. So I'm kind of hoping Bungie will do a few different things in relation to this weapon, but of course we'll have to find out. A final couple of mentions though, Kayla on Reddit did actually post a pretty useful breakdown of Bungie's stream discussing things like the Tome of Want, which is basically weapon attunement, and fragile mods, which are temporary seasonal mods essentially for weapons that we'll be able to earn on the Dreadnaught, where the dev said there'll be a couple available at launch, more added with Act 2 and 3, and then Episode 3 weapons having new fragile mods that increase the weapon's versatility lasting until the end of the episode. Something else interesting from the dev stream though, and they pointed out that on the appearance customization screen, some of the Memento shaders were actually visible and available for armor. Obviously we are viewing a dev build of the game right here, so it's not clear whether that could be a quality of life addition for players that have earned Mementos to be able to put them on armor pieces essentially, but while it isn't confirmed by Bungie, certainly something worth looking out for when the episode drops. But it might not be a thing, I'd like to say, once again, just in case. So there we go guys. Share your thoughts on everything we've spoken about in the video today down below. Also, if you've enjoyed this one, a rating really does help us out on the channel. And once again, feel free to get subscribed and I can keep you posted with more Destiny content. Otherwise though, I appreciate you tuning in as always. And for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.